had 4 suicidal people in 1 week. One threatened to kill herself if I didn't have a session with her.
I had one of those, and I just had to.
Yeah, I'm not her.
Oh, here's
I'm
Nicky.
Not, there he is. Hey, buddy.
Nicky's here. Gonna chat. My computer is fighting me. Okay, well, this computer is fighting him. We can't see him or hear him. Let's try ask to start video. Okay, I'm going to help you there. So we're going to send you a message to start video. You should get that. Yeah, it's coming, I think. Oh, we're live, by the way.
Oh, we are?
There he is. There he is. He's coming.
Where's my brother?
Now, do we have audio with Nicky?
I don't hear him.
Let me see. Hang on. Here's a way to do it here. It's okay. We're going to make it happen.
We are, because you're amazing. It says Nicky Hamid.
Okay. Yeah, I just switched that way. Sometimes that'll supersede it. Okay, so
can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
There he is.
Hi. My computer's fighting me, and my brain is trying to kill me.
Nicky, look, we're wearing the same color.
Oh yeah. The pink.
You should have told me, man. I would have changed my shirt.
I just got told a couple of minutes ago I had on a gray shirt, and I heard go change into something pink.
Well, I think that's a good idea.
Yes, I'm always in the pink.
You're just a love bug, that's all.
If I had a pink shirt,
takes one to know one.
Okay, so all right, let's yeah, we are live on Facebook already. Let me just say some hellos. Jenny Smith, Jed Riverstone. We had a great show with him yesterday. Lenny Ace with us. She says we'll have to watch her. She's bringing in creative mode, bringing through the codes. Mira Ginsburg, Maria Iverson, Sasha Grace. She has a pink dressing gown on, just for match y'all. Sean Morse. Sandra Rose, Jennifer Ray, Helen Bond, Rita Gabriel Tomei, Susan Factor Fitz, Patty Pooley Boyer, Nicola Dawn Codling, Val Benchnick, Dale Lawrence, Wojtek Rombowski. We got 42 people in the house. Amy Sunshine, Melissa Dehan's here.
Yay.
If you guys could do us a favor, and if these shows resonate with you, please share. We're having a little bit of difficulty again with getting our notifications out through the Facebook algorithms. Hello, Law Stewart, Kelly Bird, Nalini Diosara. We're going to have another show with her and her divine partner. Kathy Waldowski, Neil Devaney, Elizabeth Dunn, Lorenzo Conte, my friend from Asbury Park. Who else we got? Nancy Nemeth. Yeah. Thailand's in the house. Yeah. Nana Lee. All right. So we have a special show. Go ahead.
Can I start with something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, right. It's a little bit of a plug, but today at this time now, I normally run my quantum healing moment. I hold the space for it, and I just wanted to say that the quantum healing moment is held every month on the first day of each month at 12 noon, wherever you are in the world. And we hold it and we connect to the World Wide Web of love. And it's been going for 5 years, all right? So I'm holding the space for that, as well as being here. We're multi-dimensional beings, so it's very easy to be in 2 places at once. So if people intend, then we're joining. It starts in New Zealand because we're the first country to see the sun, as it were, of the new day.
Is that right?
Of the new day, yes. And so we are, how many hours we're ahead of you in hours. So each one, most people who are on here, their 12 noon, 1st of June will be coming. So if you sit, it's only one moment. It's one moment, and we're all connecting to the World Wide Web of love. So
Amplification.
we're starting it here because I know with both of you, it's going to be a love fest.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
I'm just along for the ride. So it's good to see you both, though.
Oh, love you, Todd. Love
I'm
you,
glad
Nicky.
that I'm glad that you guys came up with this idea. It's a good idea. So I think one thing I've come to understand is that the divine feminine does everything first, as I've learned in my experience with the beautiful Morgan Lee. That's kind of how it works. That's actually how the universe showed me it worked 8 years ago, but I didn't really put it all together till now. So we're gonna put it on to Susan, and she can pass if she wants, or she can start us off.
Well, Nicky and I had a wonderful conversation. Just want to say hello to everybody. And we made it. Like, we are at that pinnacle moment now where we're going to leap into all of the creative possibilities that we've been wanting for such a long time. And I've noticed that the synchronicities from the time that I think something to the time that it shows up is within 30 seconds to 3 minutes. It's just, I have the thought and then boom, there it is. And it's been rather entertaining. And I love joining both of you and everybody here because we're doing this together. And I posted just before the show, Nicky and I had talked a little bit about this yesterday with regards to dimensions, ascension, and what actually we're really doing in this moment with regards to, I love Amanda Lawrence's picture that she talked about the tree and the branches off the trees. Yeah. And then the branches off the branches. And just to bring clarity into people about just how simple this path to return to the fullness of that which you are is. The branches are all the complicated versions of what we think we are, all experiential in the lower dimensions or storylines or all the different terminologies that we have. And all of that is in the free will zone. And if you look at a branch from the trunk of the tree, it goes away from the trunk. We get to the end of the branch and then we still find that we're seeking within the branch. And we jump from branch to branch on the tree. We have experiences. We add branches off the branches and we continue to add, and we are collectively creating the storyline or the dimension in that branch. And then we realize that there's still something missing. We're still in that sense of perpetual striving to find that thing that we know that we are. And so we surrender the branch and we go back to the juncture where the branch is coming out of the tree trunk, and then we break the veil and return back to the trunk, which is that which dwells within. And in that we realize freedom, bliss, mastery. But we're so used to the branches that we have become unfamiliar with what the tree trunk is, with what the I am is within us. And so we run off to another branch. Maybe it's there. And I believe that, like what Amanda said, the branches are done. We're coming into the trunk now. And with that, I'll pass over to Nicky or you or whoever wants to speak.
Nick, this is a platform for y'all.
Yeah. Well, yes, and we talked also about longing, and for me, this is kind of really nice to focus on this longing, because we all have this longing, no matter where we go, no matter what realization we have. When the joy of the realization is past, there's still this longing. It's a longing to go further. It might be feeling of expansion, of connection to something else. There's always this longing, and sometimes you experience it as sadness. Sometimes it's like an excitement and a need to play, but it's always there. It's always there, and that to me is, when you tap into your longingness, you're on the branch, on the trunk. You're connected back to the trunk, because that longing is like the tree wanting to grow taller, taller. It's growing up and growing also into the earth too. And that to me is one of the essences of what people might label fifth dimensional. Um, uh, it's that longing to connect and reach. And ultimately, it's the longing is being back, going back to source, or coming back to source, we'll say, rather than going back to source. And I just wanted to take something kept coming to me this last night after Susan and I talked, and it goes right back to the time when I was younger, and I heard first of all what's called the Great Invocation. I think it's been mentioned a number of times, and I think it's appropriate for us because it kind of gives us the direction, or not the direction, the essence of why we are here as human. And can I read it?
Yes,
I,
please.
I will read it out. I've given my version, and my version is the only change really is to change it from, it was originally given as a future, but now it's a now. It's a now. So let me just read it to you. For the older people, they're probably familiar with it because it's been spoken all around the world for years and years and years. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of human. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of human. Christed being now returns to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of human, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of human, let the plan of love and light work out, and it will seal the door where fear has dwelt. Light and love and power are restoring the plan to earth.
That's beautiful. And also too, you know, in that place, free will is not required because we are in divine will. We are in absolute flow as source responding to itself, moving freely upon the earth and creating with inspiration, which is in spirit, in motion, inspiration. And so as we create in this field, we get the divine inspiration. And I say to people, you know, you have this inspiration. It's not the mind bringing it there. It's coming from source. And it's oftentimes it's something kind of random out there we hadn't considered before. And so we're to sit with that and sit in that dream state of that inspiration. And when we've come to the end of what we think it is, or if we get into striving in it or trying to plan or figure it out, that is the point of surrender, where you let it go, you give it back to source and say, I've taken it as far as I know it to be. Now bring it again and bring it again in another form in its perfect state. And I just keep giving it back until it comes in the way that is completed. And then I just respond to its completed expression. And that's really how this whole going out west and has come about. It's the surrender of the knowing that I was to go west, and then just accepting that as a dream, and then giving it back without planning. And this is the place we're at now. If we're striving or pushing towards those moments of inspiration, then we are out of harmony and we're back in the branch, pushing towards something and trying to do it on our own when we have everything that we need within us. And as I connect into that, and as you connect into that, and Todd and everybody else, then we're harmonizing. And so the call goes out, the clarion call goes out. I'm hearing go west. Another is hearing Susan's coming west, contact her. And source orchestrates it all. We just need to respond. And the clarion call goes out to hundreds of thousands on the earth. And over history, few have responded. So this is the time to listen to that clarion call, the voice that we hear, the inspiration that is moving us into different directions. And for some, this is going to be challenging because they may have the inspiration to leave a marriage or to change jobs or whatever it is that Source is calling them to for the fulfillment of their true expression as Source on earth now. And surrendering everything that you think you know. Even the ascension process, I surrender. I don't know what that looks like completely.
That's right.
Yeah. And can I say something? There and then, seeing you, when I hear you talk, Susan, and my heart just fills. And without overanalyzing it, I want to say that in seeing you and hearing your words, there's always, for me, the experience of authority. And this links up to the trunk of the tree and the fifth dimensional beingness and so on, that when there's a voice of authority, you know it, you feel it inside. I mean, everyone who gets guidance from within, and if you like, true, strong guidance from light,
Yes.
you will have experience that it's not fluffy.
No.
It's direct. And sometimes it's like, it's direct loving, but it's a command.
Yeah.
It comes as a command. And it feels like a command when you're playing, when you resist.
Exactly.
The more you resist,
yes.
the more you resist. But when I hear you, I hear that. I hear that. And that is your authority, because it comes from a point of your authority. And this is what fifth dimensional being is. And sometimes it's misinterpreted because, I mean, people have said to me, you're not very compassionate. Because I'm loving them and saying, no, go away. Don't waste my time. I'm not going to feed your emotions anymore.
Right.
And that can seem non-compassionate.
Yeah.
But when it comes from authority, and that authority is my knowing, and that authority is strength. It's not weakness. It's not mamby-pamby. And this is what part of being in the at the trunk in the tree is all about, isn't it?
And that's what they call the office of the Christ, which is the prophet, the king, it's majesty. And when you are surrendered to that guidance as Source, everyone who hears it will hear it as Source within first. Now, the mind will argue with what they hear, and so will the branches of the tree that you believe to be true. And so, everybody wants to hold on to their branch. No. This branch, what I'm talking about, is the answer. And it isn't. And what I know Source to be is simplicity. The simple, non-distorted, eternal, sovereign truth that is unchanging, that is always present, and it argues with the world. We must understand that it argues with what we have known to be true. And so in the arguing with it, you are then in the branches of the tree, and you are in free will. And in that, you are creating separation from Source within yourself. And this call to go within is to connect to that eternal truth, so that when you hear it, you know it. And you may say, why do I know that to be true? Because it resonates. It's got a resounding sound to it within your being. And then it's up to you to have a look at that within your own life application, and how you have walked either in harmony with that or in resistance to it. And this is the process we're in right now, I believe, in stepping into sovereignty, because we are getting ready to be transformed, where we are leaving the flesh behind. It will be transformed into the light, and it is our creation. So we are to also invite our bodies to come into the light of our creation as well, to join us into the light, so that we can expand the fullness of light within every cell of our body. When we do this, we are in the fully ascended body. Then the divine template is fully active and online, and all things that we are ours, and we become all with everything as well at the same time. Oneness. This is oneness.
Yeah. Yeah. And in your words, for some, they will hear, and there's a cutting edge.
Yeah.
Because when you're on the truth, you're on, it is a cutting edge. It's not this or that. It just is what it is. And there is no choice, because it's beyond free will.
To me, it's the playground. I mean, I don't have to labor in it. I just listen and respond and get to know that eternal voice that guides constantly. And then we become childlike, because in the branches, we have to figure things out. We have to sort it out. We have to shed things. We've got to know things. In the tree trunk, I can just completely let go and say, I know that voice, and I trust that voice, and it argues with the world, but I'm going to stay there, and I don't have to think about it. So when I enter into the thinking about it, then I can let it go. I can surrender and be as a child, waiting for the most magical thing to show up, and be in the awe of God. I mean, I'm constantly saying, like, I can't believe that I'm in awe. Like all those years of laboring and striving to just simply enter into the truth of who I am and be in this place of perfect creation. This is what we came here to do. This is what we came here to enjoy. This is what Yeshua was talking about when he said the kingdom of heaven is at hand, meaning it's not out there, it's right inside you. And everything you need is right there inside you, and you create from that place, from knowing that it is true. And it's what I call the undeniable universal laws of truth. When you know those to be true, then you become immovable and unshakable in them. And it does come across as a cutting edge, but I've learned, when I stand in that unmovable and unshakable truth, and I rest upon what I hear within, even though it's contrary to the world. Like when my husband passed away and I heard the house was mine, but the evidence was not there. The bank wasn't going to pay the insurance on the mortgage because he committed suicide. I was being sued. The evidence appeared to me in the world that I was going to be homeless and penniless. But the eternal word that I heard within was, the house is yours. And so I stood on that. I heard this. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm standing on this truth that I know within me, because I know that resonant voice within me. That is what moves us into the unknown and moves us into the unlimited possibilities that we cannot see with our human mind in the constructs of the world that we are living in, that we believe to be more true. And so through those surrender experiences, I realized I don't have to know, but I have to know the inner knowing.
Yeah, that's a great example. That's a great example. And for all those people out there, all of our brothers and sisters out there who may have a divine partner on the other side of the world, who may have the inner voice telling them that you will have this healing center, and they don't have a penny in their pocket, and they don't have any credit. This is a great example of what you're talking about. I remember you told me about it on one of the shows we did, and I can think of several others of other people that have been on the show.
Yes.
And this is what I'm talking about. Somebody just put up a quote, and it says, "You can't straddle both." It's Jenny Smith, of course. Jenny always putting great quotes up. You can't straddle both sides. Those who have one foot in the canoe and one foot in the boat are going to fall in the river.
Absolutely.
American Indian proverb.
Absolutely.
Our inner knowing, our inner voice, our inner guidance, which has got us all to where we're at today. And now we can look around and we have brothers and sisters standing next to us on the soul highway, and we're not alone.
Awesome.
And all the crazy people are here. Is that we are not in defiance. We're not in defiance of these laws and these rules and these illusionary structures. We're not in defiance. We are just divine. We are divinity. We honor the universal law, and Susan's point, she didn't know how, she just knew what she knew. And so that's a really, really big thing for many people now, because we are literally taking that final step away from what we call the matrix, which is not a big boogeyman. It was just a little gameplay that we gave our power over to, and we claim it now.
Isn't it really exciting though? Like, I've been on the edge of my seat with such joy this last week, because we've known it to be true within, but the world has convinced us otherwise. And now we can feel the energetic shift that it's really true.
Yes.
So if it's really true, well, let's get busy creating based on those truths. You know, we don't have to have the middleman anymore. We can actually dive right in and say, no, the truth is that where this body is, what this body is, it's a vessel that holds the light that I am on this earth. That we agreed to have this vessel so we could walk in this density, and we could take this vessel and we could transform it into light and transcend the limitations of the world and enter into the freedom that is our destiny. So this is an eternal truth that is now being realized. So heck, how can we play in this truth? It's real. So we don't have to, you know, say, oh, geez, like maybe the world is right and I'm wrong. And I go into counseling to try to figure out, I must be the lunatic because nobody knows what I know. For the first time in my life, what I know is true, and it's here, and I'm going to get busy creating and see what is possible. We've only just begun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a dream that I had since I was young, and the details, and I've played with it and so on. And it doesn't look at all likely from the old way of looking, but I know it's happening, and it's here, even though I can't see it.
And that's what Yeshua said too, when, you know, and I was raised Catholic, so I do use scripture, but there are eternal truths in what the words that he spoke. And he said, you call forth the things that are not as though they are. We are to see things into existence. Now, that's an eternal truth. So if we want a beautiful love affair, I call it forth.
Yeah.
And I watch for its arrival, and I don't interfere with it. I just stand on the knowing that that is an eternal promise, that my desires are honored by Source. And what I know to be true is that in all of the lower dimensions or branches, let's call it the branches of the tree. Thank you, Amanda, for that. Love you for that beautiful visual. In all the branches of the tree where we were laboring to try to figure out what Source is and what can we do as Source, and all of the ways we experimented and played games and learned about things as Source. Everything that we desired in that, most of that was, in a sense, there was a lot of limitation in it and fear. So the things that we were looking for within those branches that we did not see, that we desired, guess where they are? They're in the tree trunk. They're all there waiting for you to stay there so that they can come to you, because you will magnetize them. You will hold the nuclear magnetic photon light of divine Source, and it is a strong magnetic energy, and it will pull these desires to you, because all of your desires are held in creation for you.
Well, 40, maybe even more years ago, I was fed up with the whole business of the Cold War, you know, and all that was hanging over humanity, and it was in the papers all the time. I think it was around about before Kennedy was assassinated, I decided the reading the newspaper was too unempowering, and it riled me up and so on. So I stopped reading the newspaper. I stopped watching TV news, and I said, what are people really like? And I'm going to look. And from then on, all I have seen, you've seen the outward behaviors, but all I've seen is beautiful beings trying to do their very best. That is the world. So when people have talked to me about what about humanity, what's going to happen, it's like you just don't, you're just not seeing it. It's there. It's there right in front of us. And I have no worry for Gaia. I have no worry for humanity even, because it's right in front of us, the light. When we when we look at anybody, it's there, isn't it, darling?
Well, also, as we step into the truth of who we are, we can create the world we want. So what are we waiting for? Stop looking at what we had and start looking at what is possible. The other thing too is that, I spoke with this in one of my deep dive groups this last week, where people wanted to understand where they were in the dimensions because of the teachings that's coming out about, am I 3D, am I 4D, am I 5D? And I said to them, before I go there, I would like all of you to sort of go within, because the soul knows the path that you've been on, and ask within yourself, where am I in this passageway? And really, you're looking at, where are you in the branches, right? Now, in the branches, we go up and down and in and out of very different dimensions, and we tiptoe back into some, and we move back in. And the soul has a purpose for each one of us at some point, and it's all part of a divine plan, that you will return to the trunk of the tree. So it matters not where you are in the branches. Some will come to the tree trunk in this season. Some will come later, but all will return to the truth of that which they are. And so as I was listening to their soul and translating what the soul was telling me, what I found in this, and I realized this is distressing for people to know that their soul is purposed for, say, the 4D transit station, but they're laboring in 3D or reverse 3D or 2D, but their soul is purposing to get them. The emotions, the grief that was experienced on some people to find that out, to me, did not serve them well. And so I let them know that, it matters not. And you can come out of the branches of the tree at any time. You don't have to labor in it. There is a fast track. You go back to the end, to the beginning where the branch comes out of the trunk, and you sit in that space of, I don't know. I'm in this branch of, let's say, shamanism, right? And I feel like I've exhausted all I can on this branch of shamanism. And I'm just going to just surrender it now, because I don't know. When you do that, you're now at the bridge where the branch is coming off the tree trunk. And when you let go of what you've known, I let go of shamanism because I don't know if this is it, and I'm willing to go within and find out. You pierce the veil and you enter into the tree trunk. You enter into that place of stillness, of truth. And then you listen. Most people want to rush out of stillness, because stillness will tell them what isn't true. The ego and the mind will say, no, 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 no. You've known that's true. You lived it. You experienced it. It is real. That what you're hearing is not true. And so we have confused what is true based on the branches of the tree. And so I say this to people to give you permission to stop dancing in the branches. You can play in them if you like. There's nothing wrong with it. As we begin to wake up, each branch is designed to bring to memory to you that there is something else. And that's your soul calling you home, calling you to the tree trunk constantly. So it's not a judgment. I just really truly believe that many people are stuck in this whole ascension process and laboring in, I've got to clear the dimensions. And I've spoken about this before. There is easy peasy. Easy peasy is surrender of everything that you think you know to be true. to allow for the eternal truth to emerge within you, which is already in you. I don't even need to teach it to you, although I can point you in the direction of it. It is already in you as you.
Yeah. Yeah. This is this longing. A longing is a navigation home, as it were. And the home is here now. It's not a reaching for or digging in. It's this. And as human, we experience it here. And it's from here out.
There's no degrees to get.
No, there's no degrees.
No certifications.
Yeah, and as you say, if we're out on the branch, we can come into here to the trunk just like that.
Yes.
If we surrender. Okay. But I forgot what else I was going to say.
And as we join, I can go in the branch and I can join you in the branch and I can have the experience of everything that's in the branch and I might enjoy it, but I'm always going to come back to the tree trunk.
Yeah, right. And you can come back to the tree trunk and you can be in any place in the tree trunk because it's all one. So dimension, 5D, 6D, that doesn't matter. They're like, if you want any description, and any description is not going to be it. To me, it's like qualities of light. That's what it is. Call it dimensions or levels or whatever you like. It's quality of light of the one.
Well, you know how a tree grows. The tree grows towards the sun. Right? So, we're in the tree trunk, we're growing towards the sun, we're growing towards truth, and it's easy.
So, and so if there is this coming together in this place, there's no ascension. We're not ascending anywhere. We're not going up anywhere.
No.
We're coming home. And as you say, it's easy peasy.
Yeah.
I'm home.
And your bed's ready and made for you when you get there.
Yeah, that's right. You think, you've got to laugh because it's been so funny how frenetic you've been over nothing.
We're silly humans. We're just silly humans, and we run in all these different directions looking for what we have already.
We're silly, delightful humans.
Yeah, and we agreed to have this experience because we are source having the experience of loving itself through free will. Yeah. And so we come in here, we have this human experience. Deepak Chopra said it really well. We are spirit having the human experience, not the other way around. And so it's spirit realizing that it is not the human form, it is not the world expression. And I call it the cosmic joke because as soon as that is realized, then we are in the ascension. We are God realized within ourselves. And that realization within our form expands our presence on the earth. That is realized in the divine. The divine is expanded. That expansion floods back down to each and every one that's going through the awakening process to the truth of who they are. So that is our greatest purpose, is to God realize within ourselves, be the embodiment of presence upon the earth. And this is how we shorten the days of suffering and start to create the world we want.
Yes.
It's easy peasy.
Yeah. And in experiencing this in ourselves, we make it available to everybody.
Yep.
And also the company of heaven can work on that energy and expand it further. We don't have to do that. We're just in the trenches, laughing and playing.
We create a bridge as ourself of light, or a Jacob's ladder, or a pillar of light. As we embody and we hold presence, that field of light is recognized, and the angels and all other beings can ascend and descend through us on this light of vibration that we hold. So not only are we holding presence on the earth for humanity and the earth itself, but we're also creating a gateway for all the assistance that we need and more.
Yeah.
So
there's the tree again, isn't it?
Yeah.
the bigger tree, right?
Yeah,
One thing that's somebody made a comment here. Let me see it right here. It said, "Thank you." What she said. She said, "Thank you," and then she said, "But there's." Oh no, she said, because I can't pull it up. But she said, "Thank you," but there's many out there who present their way as the better way, and I think that I hear what you're saying. This has actually come to the surface over the last few months as this yogi guru thing. No offense to anyone, we hold in the highest regard that part of our journey. But as it started to make this transition, self-empowerment and self-resourcefulness is becoming the order of the day. It's been really intriguing and exciting to me and interesting to me, particularly in this month of May, where you've had people of different colors, people of different methods of expression. I can take a Jason Estes and Amanda Lawrence. I can take a Robin Haywood this morning, Susan. I mean, a lot of people's intel, Rhea Aurora, a lot of their intel was referring to the latter part of May as being, at least I guess I would describe it as a time finally that we've reached where all of this energy is available. Doesn't mean we're all going to have it. It means it's available. It's there for us. And like Susan said, to start playing with. It's pliable and it works. And I really hear what you're saying. I think that is where our focus best serves us.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be anybody's guru. I'm saying I'm being a child in the playground of possibilities, and I would love to have playmates there. Let's see what we can create. And I just, it goes back to, I remember Todd on the show where they showed me about that you can clear the Akash in one fell swoop, right? I did that. And then I went to my massage therapist who I'd seen for over, 17 years. And he had me on the table and he had my leg this way and pushing this way and, manipulating. I was like rubber woman on the table. And partway through, he says, "Okay, what did you do?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I've worked on you for a long time. And you normally moan and groan and complain, about the stiffness in the body and the tight muscles." He said, "You're talking a mile a minute and you're not wincing or heavy breathing at all. What did you do?" And then it dawned on me. I cleared the Akash of the karmic load. All trauma went. And so it's like, wow, that was really easy. So, it's time to play. And so we are all to enter into that childlikeness of creative play. And if I can point the way and say, I'm experiencing it, and if you want to join me in these simple understandings, that is your choice. Absolutely. I need no dependence, because we are all source in form realizing itself at some point. And I respect everybody's path to there. I would say that I'm speaking to those ones that have been aware of this truth, that have stopped believing in this truth, to remember this truth and come in.
What Tom was saying and thinking it to you. I always love hearing about the different modalities and things that people do, because they're so creative.
Absolutely.
And every one of them works with love energy. Every one of them does, with love. And but it's like with children, and we go out to play, and you go out on the bunch, if you like, and you play. Well, you come home for tea, and when you come home for tea, you've forgotten your play. You're there for tea, and it's back to the trunk. So it's like you're going out, but there's always the connection. And anytime you get stuck out there, you can get back to the connection immediately. So that in other words, the trunk is connected to the branches, and it knows where its sustenance is, was from the trunk feeding it. and that's the play. And if we can do that ourselves, we will understand everybody else's play, even though it's so different from ours, and we'll delight in seeing them play. Because I know for me, my greatest delight is to see somebody else, the lights going on for them,
Yeah.
and their joy. I get as much joy from other people's joy as I do from my own.
And the branches are powerful. I mean, because
Yeah.
it's God expressing itself as itself in that creation.
Yeah.
It's just created to a degree in separation. It's not
Yeah.
the way I understand it, it's not the fullness of it. It's still
Right.
the creator seeking itself in that experience. And so we are having the expressions, we're learning about the creator in those experiences, the creator that we are. So all of it is, everything that is created is good. Even the things that we think are not are good, because they're serving a purpose, because the light cannot be seen without its opposite.
Yeah.
But it's just that, we can dwell in those things, and we have the freedom to do that if we so choose. But we also
Yes.
have been told by Yeshua thousands of years ago that we don't have to labor in that we have another option. And this is what's being realized, because the time is up. The gig is up. There's enough light on the earth that the density has no longer as strong a hold as it's had. And so now all of a sudden we can actually talk about this freely without risk of being slaughtered for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that people do find it a bit scary when they've lost their identity with things, even things they loved, that they feel that it doesn't have meaning anymore. Well, that's a good thing. This is part of this, that, we get stuck in things because we identify with them. That is, we think that they define us, and
Or
the
they're-
activity define us.
Or that we think we have to continue to do what we've been doing. Like for me,
Yeah.
in the density that we've lived in, having the abilities that I've been aware of, I've been able to be of service to humanity that are sick and seeing what the world would call miracles. But then I was asked recently, will you let that go? Will you surrender that you are needed as a healer? Will you surrender that you are needed as one that people must come to receive healing? Can you acknowledge that the ability is within them now? Can you teach them how to find it within them and realize that your healing abilities are no longer required?
Yeah.
And so it was like, wow, yeah, I kind of like that, because there's a heavy burden of moving with people in density to bring them into the light. We've got to partner with them and have them see the truth in their density. And it's been a laborious task, in the healing modalities. And now all we need to do is speak their existence into their form with them as two joined together in truth, and they're healed. Because they're just being restored to truth is what a healing is, what a miracle is. So then I had to actually sit with that and say, okay, well, that's been an identity that I've had. So if I surrender that, then who am I now? How will I then be moving forward in the new? And so we enter a wobbly ground, because I'm letting go of the identity that I am a healer, that I'm needed, and that I need others to need me. And we're entering in non-attachment. And this is foreign territory for us, because we've had to have identity and form in the lower density vibrations.
Yes, yeah. So part of the easy peasy is realizing that when you feel this, lack or loss of identity, that you're on track.
Right.
This is part of being at home.
Oh, and just the joy that I don't have to do it anymore.
No, I don't have to try and be somebody. I already am.
They have it in them. All I got to do is say, no, you don't really need me anymore. You don't.
No.
You don't. It's everything is in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the things we're sharing now are really simple, but everyone knows them.
Yeah.
And we still
Everyone knows it.
we're still going to argue with it a little bit. I mean, even myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a moment where it's like, oh, okay, well, what kind of work am I going to do then if I'm not doing that? You know, it's like, and it's like, no, 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 surrender. I'm willing to surrender all aspects of this because I don't know how to define it. And I'm entering into the place where we're not to define things. What I understand is that we are entering into energies that have no known descriptions. And so I don't want to, we can't bring that with us, is what I'm hearing.
No, yeah, that's right.
Can't bring any of it with us. We go in empty. We go in naked into it. And even as we are in it, and I think, Todd, you've also probably heard other people talking about it, you're having these feelings, you're aware of these things, and you try to find a word to describe it, and there isn't one. So when people, you know, say, well, what's it like? Fun.
Yeah, there's no word for it.
It's fun.
Yeah. And yet we can communicate in words if it comes from authority, and that authority is a knowing. And we'll find the words, and they may not be accurate, but there's a vibration that goes with the words.
Well, that vibration and that voice doesn't need any validation. It doesn't even think about what are they going to think or try to convince anybody of anything. It's just, this is what I know. Susan knows she's going to Shasta. You know, and
that's wicked what they're telling me about that too.
And she's a great example again, because she said, which is very true, this is what's happening. We're having to surrender it. Morgan and I have surrendered our relationship many times.
Yes.
And as recent as the last, but every time we do, it immediately comes in. Our Shasta comes in. So immediately, it's like, and that's what Susan was talking about earlier. The other thing that you were bringing up too earlier, when you're talking about the healing, Susan's talking about the healing. Nicky was talking earlier about seeming that you're not compassionate. You know, the healing isn't just the traditional healing, the high level healing, the real specific healing like Susan did and others have done. It's also the people who want to lean on you. The people who say, you know, hold my hand. We can't save anybody. We can't fix anybody. And really,
Can't do it.
That's it, you know. And so I've had some people say recently that I'm mean, or a couple other comments that I got, but it wasn't. I wasn't being that way. I was basically honoring where we're all at, which is self-reliance, self-responsibility. We've got.
It's also your journey too, right? So we are here to enter in, and we can't bring the baggage with us. And if that baggage is people that are latching on to our knowing and not going within, then in essence, is that not being someone's guru, right? Yeah. Because I can't take them with me. And I had a woman threaten to take her life if I didn't have a session with her. Yeah. And it's like, I'm really sorry, that's spiritual manipulation. Yeah. And it doesn't serve you, nor can I really help you there. If that is your soul's choice, then I must honor that which you are choosing. Yeah.
And that frequency, and not to take anything away from it, because we're all part of it, we were all bred in it, was not an equal energy exchange. It was not a universal energy exchange. It was actually a codependent vibration. And I know that sounds harsh, but
no, it's true. It's the truth, right, Nicky? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the compassion, a compassionate act. Compassion comes from love, and love comes from connection, and connection comes from knowing the light. And if you see the light in somebody, and you feel that within yourself, level of then you just cannot. You cannot be true to yourself and true to the other person by pretending that you don't see what you see.
And also too, like I have, like everybody else, have gone through the lower vibrational densities on the earth. And now I'm at a point where I can actually enjoy and experience that which I know to be true. And I'm going for the playground.
There you go.
Going
I'm
to the
gonna,
plague.
just like when we were kids. I'm gonna race you out there. I'm gonna be the first one.
Are you going to come to Shasta? Are you guys going to come?
I am open right now. We're just day by day. You know, we're just day by day. It's just, and not in a bad way.
Yeah, message me and let me know if you're interested. We can work something
I'm
out.
watching people do this. Vera Ingeborg and Augusti hooked up with Katie Indicrow.
Okay.
They're in the Netherlands having dinner an hour ago. They put up a post. I mean, Katie's from Canada. She was in France. She had $150 into her name. Didn't know how she was going to get back to the U.S. She reached out to her community. Next thing you know, she's having dinner with Marco Lepore and Augusti and a couple other people. And you know, this is it. Vera Ingeborg and Natalia. I mean, this is it. This is what's happening. Yukia just went down to Peru, hooked up with some people. Marita was in Israel and hooked up with some people. She was in Portugal, and she's now in Portugal and hooked up with some people there. I mean, this is what's happening. We've got. Let me just say, we've got about 10 minutes. So you guys take it. You take this 10 minutes.
It's like we're coming into my casa, su casa, right? You know, and so we're offering lovingly to those that are into the playground, and it's an equal sharing and expression. What I understand about Shasta, and my mind doesn't comprehend these things. I'm just hearing it and going. Is that as I walk through the portal, I'm bringing back thousands upon thousands of masters of light. I see people standing around the portal. And I have an understanding that these masters of light some will come in form, some will be in energy, that they will be entering those ones that are standing around the portal, because it's the hour of the masters of light to be upon the earth. My mind wants to try to figure it out, and I've just surrendered it. You know, whatever shall be, shall be. And anybody that wants to make their way there, of course, is welcome.
It is.
And that won't be there physically unless something happens. But in line with what I said at the beginning with the quantum healing moment, I will be there. I will be there. I know I will be there.
And really, because we're all one, I can take everybody with me anyways, right?
I wanted to say, those who resonate, hear this and resonate, you can be there also.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm nosy enough to see what I want to keep an eye on what Susan's up to.
I've had some interesting things where I was going to cancel an insurance policy for my kids because I had too much money. It was for the mortgage that I don't have anymore. And they totally fried my brain and wouldn't let me cancel the insurance policy because they said my kids will need it. They've told me to declutter my house so it's easier on my kids. So I have no idea if I'm going through and not coming back. They've also shown me my body on the ground and coming back with a different body. So I just kind of like, okay, well, whatever. I don't know what this is supposed to be like because this is all unknown. But I am open to the possibilities that we are transforming beings of light. And like I said before, Grace Solaris showed us on your show, Todd, what we're going to be evolving to. And that excites me.
Well, I think too, you know, this whole thing about it's getting simpler. One of the things that's really coming in, and I was referring to different people's intel and the way they were explaining it in their own way, is what I'm getting. I got yesterday, which happened to be Ascension Day in the Netherlands, by the way.
Oh, wow.
And actually the day my journey started 8 years ago, but was that this is the great gathering. And that gathering includes far beyond the 8 billion of us that walk the earth. You guys have any last words of wisdom, advice, prayer, channeling, transmission, download, whatever you'd like to do?
Come home.
Well, I just say I so enjoyed this. It could go on for a long time. And thank you for providing the platform.
Absolutely.
I always love talking to my sister. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I love everybody, and thank you we're all joining in this together as one. Can you feel the creation moving amongst all of us right now? Each one of you that's on this call or that will listen to it later is participating in this creation. And so,
right.
so
Yeah.
thank you for showing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Thank you.
Every one of us.
Yes.
Every one of us. You guys
Yeah.
take care. Love
Thank
you
you,
both.
Todd. Love
Thank
you,
you.
Nikki.
God bless.
Love you.
Bye,
Yeah.
Susan.
Love to Morgan. Bye, Nikki.